Oh, fuck. Okay. Yeah, so, yeah, this movie is not what I was expecting it to be. Okay, yeah, let's just get it over with. You know what? Let's just get started. Let's just get it over with. I do feel like maybe this is one, we're gonna need a stand. We're gonna have to stand for this one, you guys. Hold on. Can I get it a little higher? Ichabod. Hello and welcome back, my fellow freaks. How are you? I hope you guys have had a good week. This week we are looking at a movie called Gutterballs from 2008, director Ryan Nicholson. It was a viewer suggestion. I'll put the comment here by Nitro/Energy18. Thank you. You let me know that it's kind of a weird one, but if you like gore, sex, or comedy, this is the right one. Nitro/Energy18, I have a feeling that perhaps my review of this movie will disappoint you. However, thank you very much for your suggestion. I always appreciate viewer suggestions. If you have some yourself, put it in the comments for me to check out, and maybe I'll do a review of it. So if if maybe you can't tell by the title and my energy, yeah, Gutterballs is nothing like how I was expecting it to be. Far from what I was expecting it to be. Now, I know it is typical of me to put clips from the movie throughout the review, and I like to do this to kind of give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek of what the movie is like. However, I don't think that there is a single thing in Gutterballs that I could show you guys. So I didn't record any clips. This is going to be like my Terrifier 3 review, where you guys are just gonna have to deal with looking at me the entire time, so I'm sorry. Listen, you guys, there's seriously nothing that I can show you from this movie. It's a lot more intense than I was ever expecting it to be. I was actually not even sure if I was gonna review this movie, if I'm being honest, because after I started watching it, very quickly I felt like this suggestion was a troll. In fact, I'm still not 100% certain that this suggestion wasn't a troll. You see, I really didn't know what I was in for. I looked into the movie, but not very deeply before watching it, and it got some good reviews of it seeming like a comedy slasher. You know, like maybe it would be campy with a side of sexploitation. It was none of those things. It was not fun. It was not lighthearted. It did not, for this viewer at least, it did not come across the way that all of the reviews make it seem this movie is. And the way a lot of the reviews and even the pictures and the synopsis, a lot around this movie made it seem like it was going to be a goofy, campy slasher, right? Maybe a little bit of sexploitation. You get that in these kinds of things. Just, you know, normal run-of-the-mill stuff. What I was not expecting was for the very beginning of this movie to have a 10-minute scene. Right in the beginning, okay? I'm just telling you that straight up right here in the introduction. This movie begins with a 10-minute scene. And it is not pretty. It's violent and graphic and pretty brutal, and it lasts 10 minutes. I watched this on Fossum. I sat through 2 ad breaks to get through that scene. I thought this was gonna be lighthearted, and then that happened. I'm very anxious to get into this discussion, to go ahead and put it behind me, and hopefully maybe never have to talk about this movie again. If you're new here, hi, my name is STARGUTZZZ. Typically, I refrain from doing spoilers or anything in my reviews. I will spoil where necessary to the conversation, but other than that, I try to say as least as possible in case you are interested in watching the film. However, this week, I don't think you will be. This is usually the point of the video where I say, you know, if you want to go watch this for yourselves before the rest of this review, To ignore any of the spoilers, you can do so by clicking the link in my description. I'm not doing that for this one. I'm not putting this filthy, dirty movie in my description. As I said, I watched it on Fossum. If you want to watch it that bad, look it up yourselves. So, what is Gutterballs about? Well, like with a few of the movies I've been reviewing on here, the synopsis online tells one side of the story, while the actual film itself attempts to tell a completely different kind of story. The synopsis, or the story that's told to an audience seeking to watch this film, is that there are two rival bowling teams who are duking it out, and there is a bowling-based slasher out to get them, and they have to try and survive the night. Sounds fun! I was excited. I'm gonna be honest, I was really excited. It seemed goofy. However, the part of the synopsis that online does not tell you about is somewhat revolving around, I say somewhat, it's very loosely revolved around that takes place. Now, because I have to censor out the word a whole bunch in the editing process, I'm not gonna use it a whole lot, and I don't like using grape. I think that's stupid. So from here on out, I'm going to refer to it as just abuse or abuse scene, so that I don't have to cut out every single time that I say this word that the algorithm doesn't like. So the other part of the story that kind of unfolds or attempts to unfold is this abuse revenge narrative, if you want to even really call it that. I've seen some people online refer to this as being a abuse revenge plot. I really beg to differ, and we are going to be getting into that. But it revolves around this abuse revenge plot of a girl named Lisa who gets abused for, again, 10 minutes straight. And then suddenly, mysteriously, the night after it happens, people start to die. There is somewhat of one going on, but the way that it is executed at the conclusion of the narrative just doesn't make any sense. Like, it easily could have made sense, and they decided to make it harder on themselves. For what reason? What do I talk about first, man? What do I focus on first with this movie? I think we gotta go ahead and get a more full discussion of the abuse scene out of the way. As I mentioned, this scene takes place at the very beginning of the movie. It's like, I don't know, probably about a 5 to 6 minute introduction and then opening credits, and the introduction is really sleazy. There was a shocking moment or two, and I thought it was crazy how violent all the characters were just like right off the start, but I didn't think that it would evolve into what happens after the opening credits, which almost immediately goes into the abuse scene. And like I said, 10 minutes from about the 12-minute mark to about the, like, I don't know, 21 or 22-minute mark is when this scene takes place. And it never cuts away. It is unforgiving. It shows just about everything. It's really violent and really graphic, and just, I feel like perhaps this scene in this movie has shocked me so much just out of the sheerness that I was not expecting it. I wasn't expecting to walk into a 10-minute abuse scene when I went to watch this movie. I thought it was gonna be really lighthearted, campy, fun. Gotta be honest, a 10-minute abuse scene does not come to my mind when I think of a slasher film, you know what I mean? Or like a slasher parody, that does not come to my mind. It was like halfway through the scene that I was really beginning to wonder if I like got tricked into watching or if maybe this was some kind of elaborate troll. Maybe it was like an individual troll, but then I started to make conspiracies that like, is this an elaborate troll in the horror community that I am unfamiliar with? When I look at reviews, some people call this movie a cult classic. So I thought that when I watched it, I felt like, was I tricked? I'm still not 100% certain that I didn't get tricked. I'm gonna be straight up honest with you. But before making this review, I made sure that it at least was not confirmed to be like a adult film. You know what I mean? And even after the scene ended, I was just like, okay, I wasn't expecting that, but perhaps it can still redeem itself. Like, if that's gonna be the first 10 minutes, the last 10 minutes better be the abusers getting theirs. You know what I mean? If we're gonna spend a whole 10 minutes on this, we better get a whole 10 minutes on that. But it didn't come. And here's the thing, it's one thing, okay? So I know later this year I'm going to be watching more disturbing movies. And here's the thing, it is one thing to go into a movie and know that you're about to see that, okay? It is a whole other thing to be under the impression from all angles that what you're about to walk into is a comedy slasher bullshit B movie, and then get something that you would see in a disturbing movie. You know, like, I feel like I would not have been as shocked about the scene if I had at least known that it was gonna happen. However, I do still think I would have had a problem with it being 10 minutes in length, because that's so excessive. 10 fucking minutes? Are you kidding me? You guys, I'm gonna be watching disturbing movies. Girl hell is right here. I know this movie is gonna be having some abuse scenes in it. I've looked into it, okay? But I know that it's gonna be happening in this flick. I am prepared to see it. I know that it's going to be fucked up. And listen, let me tell you something too. Let me fucking tell you something. If I start watching more of the disturbing iceberg movies and the scenes in that, and these are not as excessive and lengthy in time, then it's gonna make me hate this movie. It's gonna make me fucking despise this movie. If I watch Girl Hell and the abuse scenes are not 10 minutes, then that just proves my point of how fucking needless it is. If the sickest films out there don't have scenes like that long. You know what I mean? Now, I don't know how long they are in it yet. I'll find out. But I'm just saying, if I start getting to these movies and the scenes are not like 10 minutes or longer, it's gonna make me fucking hate Gutterballs even more. It's just really tasteless, and it served literally no purpose at all. I don't know, it's excessive, and especially for the fact that maybe we get a little bit of satisfaction, but at the end of the movie, we really get no satisfaction or vindication for what happened to Lisa. Which leads me into my next topic of how weak the abuse revenge plot that's attempting to be made is. I'm probably gonna spoil like all the movie for you. It doesn't matter. I don't recommend you guys watch this, I'm telling you right now. The night after the abuse happens to Lisa and she's talking about how it's her turn now, I was really hoping for this movie to kind of have some kind of redeeming quality to it. I was really hoping that Lisa would be the slasher, that it would be a pretty badass narrative, and that would somewhat excuse the 10 minutes, but she's not. She's not the slasher. The slasher ends up being her dad, who just looks incredibly close to the janitor, and I thought it was the janitor at first, and was still confused. I guess it's her dad. Instead of her, and you guys, he is avenging his daughter's abuse, and all of the victims that he focuses on are her friends, not the men responsible, but Lisa's friends. Those are the victims. Those are most of the people that get killed in this movie are just Lisa's friends. I think the shittiest part of it is that there is a character who is a trans woman. In my notes, I kept wanting to call her a drag queen because she kind of looks like Divine. And I will say, there are some elements of this movie that feel like as if John Waters would make a slasher movie. Some elements. But there's a scene where this trans woman is getting killed, and then after she's killed, her bottom area is mutilated. And so why did that happen to a character that did literally nothing instead of the... Can you riddle me that? I'm so confused. Why did that happen to a character that did nothing and not the... Like, okay, it's a cool, uncomfortable scene, but I don't think it's happening to the right person. Again, all of the victims are just Lisa's friends. And do the abusers eventually die? Yes. Are their deaths as slow and painful and grueling as what they should be? No, they're not. Especially for what happened to Lisa. Like, their deaths are weak as fuck. All of her friends have more brutal deaths than these guys. Yeah, I know how the last main guy dies. It's not enough. Why are his genitals not being mutilated? You know, like, if it's really a revenge plot, then why is it so scared to kind of seek revenge on who the bad guys are supposed to be? You know what also happens instead? Would you also like to know what happens instead? By the end of the movie, the rest of Lisa's friends start treating her as if she's the antagonist, and they shoot her dead. So you're telling me this is supposed to be an abuse revenge, but at the end of the film, the victim is treated as if she's the villain and gets shot dead? Yeah, I don't know about that one, you know? At no point does it feel like the movie is on the side of the people that it should be siding with. Like, it feels so hateful. It feels like such a hateful movie. I mean, even at the beginning, before the abuse scene, I made notes about how just immediately off the bat, like, insane and violent and, like, mean this movie was before we even got to the abuse scene. I don't know, man. It's hateful. This is a hateful ass movie. And on top of that, like, there's a difference between sexploitation and just straight up. And I thought this was gonna be sexploitation. You know, I was expecting Porky's. That's what I was expecting from this movie. Instead, it's just straight up. It's not even like fun, campy sex, you know? I've already mentioned John Waters, but like, his movies are filthy and have sex that borderline on, but still maintain this tone of like lighthearted, campy silliness. This movie is not that. Everything about it just feels very tasteless. I hated everything about this movie. However, I suppose that I shall still give it credit where credit is due. I will say, the gore and the death scenes and the special effects in the movie were pretty choice. They were good. The gore is some of the best that I've seen. I especially liked the death scene of the blonde woman getting her head smashed. You know, it's so unfortunate that this movie didn't focus more on the gore and the special effects than it did on the... It's such a shame. I feel like if it focused more on being a slasher, then I would have really loved this movie. And like I said, I'm disappointed. I'm really disappointed that this movie turned out to be the way that it was. But you know, the gore's nice. The blood and the consistency was good. I remember one scene where some guy's head is off and it's just like a fountain of blood. That was really cool. If only the movie had been more of that and less of what it ended up being. So as good as the gore and special effects were, that's kind of the only positive that I have to say about this movie. And that's just not enough to save this movie from being in the F tier. What do you want me to say? Like, there was nothing enjoyable about watching this movie. I didn't laugh any. I guess maybe I'm just not the target audience. At no point did I find it comedic. It's in general just, like I said, one of the most hateful and mean-spirited films that I've seen. Everywhere that I've looked just makes it seem like it's this goofy, campy slasher flick, and it's not. I really wish that it was, because I was excited to watch this movie this week. I was excited to watch something kind of funny and lighthearted, and instead I just got something like mean and gross. You know what I mean? There is no way for me to put this movie in anything except for the F tier. Even if the rest of the movie was like fine and normal and dandy, the fact that the very beginning of it has that 10-minute abuse scene just automatically puts this awful taste in your mouth. And I just swear, the longer the movie went on, the less that I liked it, the less that I was enjoying watching it. And I know I'm just repeating myself, but again, I didn't know whether I should even be reviewing this movie or not. But through advice from some people that I trust, they encouraged me to still go through with this review. So here it is. I was really expecting a lot from this movie. It looked like and sounded like something that I would have loved and would have been obsessed with, but it ended up just being stinky. It's really disappointing. It's really disappointing, you guys. And again, thank you to the viewer who has suggested it to me. You have probably disliked this review and unsubscribed by now, which is fine. I understand. And with that, we have finished another movie review. By the way, I know I've been putting David Lynch at the end of some of these. I just felt like I didn't want to disgrace his honor by putting his image in line with a discussion of this movie. So he will probably be back next week. I like adding David Lynch to my intro because I miss him. That's like one of the only celebrity deaths to have really affected me. And I really hope some of you also like getting to hear David Lynch say it's Friday once again, every Friday once again. Thank you guys so much for making it all the way to the end of the video. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. It's a free and easy way to help out my channel and also lets me know that I'm doing good making these videos. If you give it a dislike, it probably means that you liked Blood and Honey and cringe. Also, if you made it to the very end of the video, just put a comment. Just put a comment. It can be one word. I don't care. Just consider giving me a comment. Let me know what you think of this review. If you like this video just so much that you actually want to hear me ramble about more B-movies and disturbing cinema, consider hitting that subscribe button and the bell notification or icon, whatever, so that you can be notified every time that I make a new upload. I also upload every Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with a new review every week. I focus on horror, if you couldn't tell. I also often do streaming. I'm still trying to get a schedule figured out with that, but when I do, you can find me here and usually at this time if I stream, but the days are inconsistent because of my work schedule. And then right here are just some other socials that you can find me at. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok if you would like to see more content from me. Let me just thank you one more time for being here, watching this whole damn thing. Time is precious. We do not have very much of it, and the fact that you took some of your time out of your day to watch my video means the world to me. Just thank you so much for being here. I appreciate all of my viewers. If I don't catch you on a stream, I'll catch you in next week's video. Have a good night and stay safe out there.
Let me tell you something, Pandeo. You pull any of your crazy shit with us, you flash your piece out on the lanes, I'll take it away from you and stick it up your ass and pull the fucking trigger till it goes click.